All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about something that's an absolute lifeline for every mariner out there, your ECDIS backup arrangements. You know, this isn't just about ticking a box for compliance. It's about what you do when your primary system, your main lifeline, fails. So yeah, this is important. Let's dive in.
So, I want you to picture this. You're on watch. You're out there, middle of the ocean, and your main navigation screen just goes black. That's it. What's your very next move? This isn't just some hypothetical question from a textbook, it's a super real possibility. And your answer right in that moment could determine the safety of the entire ship.
And to really drive this home, we're leaning on the wisdom of Captain Crewvn. He puts it perfectly, doesn't he? In our world, you just can't have a single point of failure. It's not just about what the law says, it's about fundamental, common-sense seamanship.
So where does this all come from? Is it just a good idea? Nope. It's written into the Foundational Rulebook for Safety at Sea.
Right, the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS. It doesn't mince words here. If your primary way of navigating is ECID, then a backup system isn't a nice-to-have, it is absolutely mandatory. The whole point is just so simple and so critical. You have to be able to keep navigating safely, even if your main gear completely gives up on you.
Okay, so what does a compliant backup actually look like in the real world? Well, the regulations give you two clear paths to choose from. Let's break them down.
On one hand, you can have a totally separate second ECDIS unit. This is by far what you're going to see on most modern ships. On the other hand, you can go old school and maintain a full portfolio of paper charts. Now, both of these are 100% compliant, but they come with very, very different day-to-day responsibilities.
Now, if you go with a second ECDIS, I gotta stress this. The key word is independence. This can't just be another screen hooked up to the main one. We're talking about a truly redundant system. It needs its own power supply, its own separate data feeds from the GPS and gyros, and this is a big one. It has to have its own full set of updated charts. You're basically running a perfect clone of your primary system, just waiting in the wings, ready to take over instantly.
And what if you choose the traditional route with paper charts? Well, the standards are just as strict, believe me. That paper chart portfolio has to be perfect. I mean, fully corrected with every notice to mariners, and it has to cover every single place your vessel might go. The bottom line is this. You have to maintain those charts to the exact same standard as a ship that relies on them full-time. There are absolutely no shortcuts.
All right, so you've got two ECDIS units. That sounds like it could be double the work, right? How in the world do you keep them perfectly in sync without spending all day just managing data?
Well, the good news is modern systems are actually designed for this exact problem. Manufacturers like Tokyo Keiki, for example, build their units to be networked. This is a perfect example of how the tech is built to make these safety procedures way more efficient, letting you share data between the two systems without a hitch. And most of the time, it's incredibly simple. Once you've planned out your route on your main unit, it's usually just a few clicks. You go through the menus to save your route, but here's the key part. Instead of saving it locally, you just pick Network as the destination.
And boom, that's it. The entire voyage plan is now sitting in a shared folder, and it's instantly available for the backup unit to grab and load. Think about what that means. Your backup system doesn't just have the charts. It has the current active voyage plan ready to go. No typing it all in again by hand, no chance for human error. It's just ready.
But look, having all the right gear and knowing the clicks is only half the battle. The other half is being able to prove it when you're under pressure.
And as Captain Crewvn says, your backup system is not a piece of decoration. It's not something you just point to on a checklist. It's a functional, critical piece of emergency equipment, and you have to test it and drill with it regularly. It's got to become muscle memory.
This is actually a requirement under the ISM code. That changeover procedure from your main system to your backup, that has to be a scenario you practice all the time during your bridge drills. It's about building that confidence and competence so that if a real emergency ever happens, nobody freezes up. So, let's put you in the hot seat. An inspector from Port State Control steps onto your bridge. They point right at your main ECDIS screen and they ask you, straight up, if this screen fails right now, what is your next action? That's it. That's the moment of truth. The only right answer here is to calmly explain the procedure and then do it. Demonstrate it. Not fumbling around in the menus, not guessing. You have to perform that switchover smoothly, with the kind of proficiency that only comes from practice. That is what inspectors are trained to spot. Not just what you know, but what you can actually do.
So the takeaway here is pretty clear. Making sure that backup system is ready to go at a moment's notice, that responsibility falls squarely on the shoulders of the navigating officer. It's a core part of the job, and it's absolutely central to keeping the vessel safe.
You know, when you boil it all down, it comes down to this one powerful idea. All the preparation, the drills, the system checks, it's all designed for one purpose: to make sure that when a failure happens, and one day it just might, you are never, ever caught off guard.